What is going on? Premium Takes Friday on another Friday afternoon. What is going on? Premium Takes family. As you can see, we are missing our co-host Mac, but it's all good. He's on vacation, so he's having a good time on vacation, and I believe he went to New Orleans. We're not gonna tell you guys the exact spot because that'd be pretty creepy. But hopefully you're having a good time, Mac on vacation, and he might be listening in. But
He's
boy,
in
do
parts.
we
He's at parts unknown.
Parts unknown. There you go. Boy, did we have a good show for you guys. We actually had an NFL game last night, and I'm sorry for the construction in the background if you guys can hear that. And I really got my phone ringing. That being said, though, we do have an NFL game to talk about. We had the Eagles versus the Cowboys. So as I answer this phone call, I'm going to pass it over to my co-host Adam, and he's going to he's going to recap the game between the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles. Go right ahead, Adam. Thank you so much. And let's get it, man. Let's have ourselves a show.
Thank you, Zion, for that epic intro. And I will take it from here. So the game started out wild. So here I am, trying to avoid all the hoopla, the pregame, and the Eagle fight song and all this. So I come in to the game about 7 seconds in. So the kickoff has just happened, and the Cowboys are in huddle. And I see a penalty flag already. I'm like, what the heck is going on? And they show a replay of a commotion that goes on. And obviously, we all know, I don't want to bury the lead, but we know that Jalen Carter got ejected in the game for his actions. So let's keep that as our own separate entity for right now and talk about the game in general. The game in general for me, I don't want to go too detailed because when Matt comes in, we're going to go definitely in depth, but I want to give you a synopsis at least of what I felt and how I thought about it, right? I think we need to really look at the Cowboys as a team is better than we thought. They looked sharp in the first half of that football game. They looked absolutely moving the ball up and down the field. They could do no wrong. Then the defense looked gashed, right? Left and right. They couldn't do a damn thing to stop the Eagles. But then you think about it like, oh man, the Eagles are arguably the best team in football, right? Arguably the best offensive line of football. So you're like, is it really a problem with the Cowboys and how they're dealing with stuff? Or are just the Eagles that damn good? And I think it's a combination of both. So I didn't want to write the Cowboys defense off. So then obviously the weather delays happen. Cowboys get that huge field goal before halftime, and they're down 20-21, right? Then they have a field goal, the Eagles, and the Cowboys are driving, and I think this is where the game turned for me, where the Cowboys, had to play close to the vest, and this is what we talk about. Miles Sanders gets you all the way down the field to the one. First off, Miles, you got to score on that. You got to figure out a way to get in the end zone. I know you can't outrun that guy, but he lost a little burst, I guess, during his days at Penn State and his days with the Eagles, but I thought that was a house call. Obviously not. That was a touchdown-saving tackle, which is why you tell people to hustle down the play, right? That cornerback, I forget who made the tackle, but the cornerback had hustle, or the DB had hustle, and allowed that to get tackled at the 1 yard line. Then what happened? Well, then George Pickens has a penalty, which backs them up, 15 yards from the thing. So now it's 1st and 22. So now they give the ball back to Miles Sanders, or in a sequence of events, give the ball to Sanders, and he fumbles, and they get the ball at the 16-yard line. The Eagles. And I thought that's where the game turned. But with that being said, the Cowboys' defense rose to the occasion. They came out and they got some pressure, they got some sacks, they disrupted it. The one thing I will say there was their flaw, and I don't know if this is a coaching flaw because of Eberflus or whatnot, but how are you going to let Jalen Hurts beat you? You didn't let Saquon beat you. They bottled up Saquon, right? If you want to talk about who had the better running showing, you would say the Cowboys. They had a bigger run with Miles Sanders. Javonte Williams averaged 4.4 yards a carry. They had what would be more of an effective run game, right? However, the Eagles, did what they needed to do, and Jalen Hurts' legs is really what put them over the top. He was precision passing, but guess what? AJ Brown had one target. One target. You've got to give the Cowboys credit on that. You can't tell me that's by design. Like, oh yeah, we're going to get the ball to our best player once. No, that's because the Cowboys defense did what they needed to do. And my co-host, who is, like we said, enjoying vacation, said that he mentioned it was going to be a blowout. And the one thing I said was, don't count these NFC East games lightly, right? And I think the Cowboys, to me, was a little bit more impressive. Did they have some flaws, right? That have plagued the Cowboys? Yes, penalties, mistake, drop passes. Yes, but they look cleaner than when they were with Mike McCarthy. They didn't have they like George Pickens had a penalty, but that's just what happens, right? You're not supposed to hold the guy, but sometimes shit happens and you hold the guy. It costs you, but the defense kept you in the game. Dak Prescott couldn't have walked a better pass to CeeDee Lamb on that last final play, on the final two drives. He put the ball where his guy could get it. His guy missed it. Yeah, did he miss throws to Ferguson? He underthrew Ferguson a bit and here and there. Yeah, but I thought Dak Prescott played a great game. Okay, he did everything he could to win that football game, and his teammates let him down. Defensively, I thought the Cowboys improved throughout the game. But let's go to the other side of football. Not having Jalen Carter really hurt the Eagles at the beginning of the game. It really did. The Cowboys had their way with the Eagle front. They had their way with their Eagle front, and I really think it affected how the Eagles, pass rush, who by the way only got like a quarterback hit, didn't really get that much heat on the quarterback, had to resort to relying on blitzing, and it allowed for other guys to get open. And I think this Cowboy offense is pretty good, and they're going to be pretty good going forward, especially if they can do that run game. I think that Eagle defense has some good players on it. Jahad Campbell flying around, knocking players' heads off. I think they're going to gel, and they're not going to have sack leaders, but they're going to be disruptive. And with Jalen Carter out of the game, it really changes the whole dynamic of their defense. So now, with that being said, those are my recaps. I'm impressed with what the Cowboys did. If you're a Cowboy fan, you got to be happy. No one's expecting you to do much this season, anyways. You held the defending Super Bowl champions to 24 points, and you had the ball a couple times in the fourth quarter to win the game. And it wasn't as if the Eagles beat you in those moments. You beat yourselves, right? It's not the Eagles didn't stop the Cowboys from doing. They still got the passes off. They still executed, right? But if CeeDee Lamb makes that catch, we're talking about a different ball game, right? So 2 big plays in the game. Ifs and buts are Kennington. That's why it ends up being the way it is. But I thought the Eagles kind of bogged down in the second half. And
What up, Alex?
You got to give credit to the Cowboys.
Thank you.
And
Thank you
what
for
they
stopping
did.
by.
But with that being said, you can go ahead and give your take.
Absolutely, well said, Adam. Like, what I really enjoyed about this game too is I enjoyed that the referees let them play. I mean, like, there's certain calls here and there, but we've seen openers where teams just look sloppy and both teams just looked effective. Like, if you looked at Dak Prescott, he looked like in mid-season form. He's out there throwing these darts down the field. I mean, like, if the Cowboys was to win this game, we'll be talking about Dak Prescott in MVP conversations. And I know it's just after one game, but he looked comfortable. He looked like a veteran quarterback should look. And after all that dissing of me talking shit about Dak Prescott over his entire career, I actually felt sorry for him last night, because there are some times where he'll take these deep shots down the field, and nothing against CeeDee Lamb, because CeeDee Lamb is definitely should be a top 5 receiver in the league. Is not is just dropping these balls that he shouldn't be dropping when it's hitting his hands. And there's a point in that game where I'm looking at my TV and I'm like, oh my god, if CeeDee Lamb is catching these passes, we're looking at the Dallas Cowboys having the league in this game.
Well,
Adam brought up go right ahead.
Well, the only reason it was impactful is because of the fumble.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Had they scored on that, sure, it's impactful, but they're probably not doing that pass because they got Aubrey, who can kick the fucking places off the ball.
Exactly,
right.
Exactly.
And from 65 yards out, right? So
and from 65, yeah. And to your point about the Eagles, it's really impressive to see them. I kind of lost my train of thought there, but to see them hold that championship spirit. We had eight drives. You guys probably heard it all on the networks. We had 8 drives where there was just points being scored, and then the final 8 where there's no points being scored. The game is looking for sure to go over, and then we get the weather delay, and then it goes under. Only 3 points scored at the half. I just love the composure of both teams. stupid mistake on Corday. You shouldn't be doing that kind of stuff, especially if you're a leader, you're a captain, you're the person that these youngins are looking for, and you're a big factor in this game. We're talking about Michael Parsons being out for Dallas and not being playing for that banner no more, and then here comes the Eagles' best player on defense, literally taking himself out of the game, right? So and one thing I'm worried about the Eagles, there's not even worried. I don't even care about both of these teams, but I do care about them in the sense that they're in our division, right? Is we have one side where Mitchell's gonna hold it down regardless, but for the other side, you can obviously see Dak attacking it, right? Dak attacking the one side of the field. I know Adoree Jackson got hurt, but if I'm a Eagles fan, I'm concerned about our secondary, at least on that one side of the field. Obviously, the championships they'll put it together. Great performance from Dak. That was probably the only thing that really not shocked me, but was like, damn, I didn't expect the ball to look so smooth coming out of your hands so fast. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially in week one. AJ Brown, I love the fact that Dallas held him in check. But for the Eagles, Nick, I mean, like, that's your best player on offense. What's up, Daniel? Happy Friday to you too. You got to get AJ Brown involved. I don't even give a hell if it's a little toss to screen game or something like that. Get your playmaker the ball. Jet sweep him. I know that's not really how they play football. They run it with Barkley and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, he can't be 3/4 in without getting AJ Brown at least a touch. You know what I'm saying? And Dallas did a good job holding him in check. One thing I want to mention about the kicks too, I just found out too that the kickers are able to bring their own footballs now to the games. They just changed that rule back this offseason. So that means they can bring mudded up, padded up balls. So you're gonna start seeing these kicks being further and further out. But let's move on. Great performance from the Eagles. Dallas, I honestly think after this game, I knew that the offense was gonna be potent, but I would say this, like, I didn't expect, they came into this game, want to figure out the running game, right? We have to establish the run, right? And no one was talking about Williams this whole offseason. He kind of went under the radar. No one's talking about him. No one's giving him any love. And no fantasy programs, no talk shows, nothing. No one's giving Williams love. We all thought, that's the running back from Denver. And obviously not this football fanatic. That's that hardcore guy right next to me. But I'm just trying to say that. Congrats to Williams. I think he's gonna have a good season. Go right ahead. You was intrigued by Williams. You said
I was intrigued by Williams. So I'm not trying. I wasn't trying to. I'm not going to go out there and prophesize and say, well, I knew he was going to have a great season. No, I knew that I knew of him in Denver, and you're like, wow, well, if he puts it together, he could be a decent back, right? And here he is out there showing you that he has power. He ran over a guy. He ran over a dude.
You see,
got a first down.
In the second quarter, like, he had like 3 bodies just on the ground, and he's like, but y'all here looking like Derrick Henry. I'm like, yo, what are you doing? Like, you're not supposed to be looking at this.
But that's who he was prior to the knee injury. And so if the Cowboys off the line,
this is injury, yeah.
If they can get going, right? Maybe, like, everyone's laughing at Miles Sanders and all that stuff, but sometimes a change of scenery is good for some guys. And Javonte Williams wasn't. He was shipped out of town because obviously he wasn't a high draft pick. He didn't perform the way he performed, but that could be a product of Sean Payton's offense more than anything, right? He likes more Alvin Kamara type backs in the backfield, the guys who can catch and block and be more of a asset in that game. Not saying Javonte Williams doesn't have the ability to catch, but he's more of a downhill runner, power runner, and he fits right into what the Cowboys did. And I thought he had an excellent game. He made the stats may not reflect that, but they did enough in the run game to have the Eagles second guess rushing the passer, right? Because of that. Last year they had nobody of name, right? Now Javonte Williams, I guarantee you, is being stashed on fantasy benches across the league right now. When that waiver wire claim hits, he's going to be picked up quickly.
Even starting him as fast as week 2, definitely with that 2 touchdowns upside, and absolutely. But yeah, let's move on, guys. So this is going to be our prediction show. as good as the Cowboys looked last night, I actually don't have them in the wild card. I don't have them in the playoffs. And believe it or not, you guys, that might shock a few people after the performance last night. But I do see, I do see how the season's gonna go. And not to rag on the Cowboys, and I'm gonna be totally wrong, but the Cowboys are gonna be scoring these points and they're gonna be losing these close games, and that's just my opinion. But we'll see what Adam, if Adam has them in the playoffs after that performance last night. All right, so this is how the rundown of the show is gonna go. We're gonna give you guys our predictions for our 7 teams that's gonna make the playoffs in the AFC, and in our 7 teams that's gonna make the playoffs in the NFC. We're gonna take some time to talk about it for a bit. Obviously, starting with the AFC, moving on to the NFC. Then after that, we're gonna do the preview of both championship games and the Super Bowl preview and the Super Bowl winner. And obviously this is all live. So at the end of the season, we're gonna come back to it, and then we're gonna talk about it, and then we're gonna recap. Don't worry, guys. Mac did text me all of his picks. I did make some graphics for him, so we got some graphics for Mac, and we're gonna get going. So don't worry about it. He's not missing a beat. You guys are not missing a beat. You guys are gonna get his predictions as well. Then we're gonna do the MVP of the league, offensive and defensive rookies of the league, and the offensive and defensive players of the league. So that's how the rest of the show is gonna go. And then at the end, we're gonna give our final predictions for tonight's game, and then of course our final predictions for the big game, the Giants game versus the Redskins, the Washington Commanders on Sunday. That being said, we might even dabble into the Baltimore Ravens and the Buffalo Bills if you have time. But that being said, are you ready for this, Adam? Or do you have any questions? Are you ready to begin?
I'm ready to go.
Let's get it. So let's start with the AFC, and I'm gonna put up Max, then I'm gonna put up mines, and then I didn't really have time to make Adams. My bad, Adam. So we're gonna make sure
let's be real. Let's be real. Adam got caught up and didn't send his picks in time, so he's just gonna do them live on air.
All right. Well, Adam still has it, and we're just gonna recite it. All right. So this is gonna be Max AFC teams. Out of the AFC East, he got the Buffalo Bills. The North, he got the Baltimore Ravens. The South, he got the Houston Texans, and then the Kansas City Chiefs representing the best for his wild card. He got the Los Angeles Chargers, the Cincinnati Bengals, and the New England Patriots.
Wow.
So I love the fact that he sent it to him in. I honestly think, just representing him on this one, I would think he has Buffalo or Baltimore either winning out, getting the first seed. One thing that shocked me, like, let's take some time to review his list, is New England. He does have New England in Mike Vrabel's first year in the playoffs. So I'm shocked at that. One thing I see that he doesn't have, which everybody's high on, including myself, is Denver. But so he has New England, and I love that because the NFL is it's not like basketball, right? It could be, obviously we got dynasties like fucking Patriots and Kansas City Chiefs. But it's not supposed to be always like that. It's always random teams that make the playoffs, and the random team this year he has in is New England. So, Adam, what's your thoughts on this?
Well, one, that's great. He has also Cincinnati, who didn't make it last year. I thought that was crazy. But New England, wow, that's a big jump, especially with teams like Denver and like some other teams that are further along. I mean, if you say that about New England, why can't you say that about the Raiders then? I mean, because if they got Pete Carroll and they have a veteran coach and a veteran, team, and they're not going to just lie down for anybody. So, I'm not saying New England is necessarily better than the Raiders. What I'm saying is that if I had to put a team that would surprise to make the playoffs, like a New England, it would be a Raiders team. However, that's not my list. So, but let's see if it works out. I like some of them on here. I really love Cincinnati. I hope their defense can come through for them. Baltimore is obviously good. And then the remaining other teams. I mean, my list differs. I don't know if you want my list now or if you're going to say yours, but
yeah, let's do mine and then we're going to do yours, okay?
Okay.
So, love the New England for Mac, and I love this list so far. All right. This is my list, guys. My list, I have Buffalo Bills representing the East, Baltimore Ravens as the 1 seed representing the North. I got Houston. I actually got Denver winning the West. I do think that Kansas City, I think that the whole division is tough, and I do have still Kansas City making it, but I do have Denver edging it. I'm not having Denver by a long shot, guys. It's probably going to come down to like 1 or 2 games, but I do have Denver representing the West. Then I got my wild cards. I have to give it to him. 18 years without without missing the playoffs. I know some people, especially like Steelers fans, hate it because they take up a playoff spot. But this year, you know what? They got Aaron Rodgers, so we'll see what happens a bit later. We got Pittsburgh, and then we got Cincinnati, and then Kansas City Chiefs. Any surprises on mine, Adam, or do you want to give yours? I think mine is pretty generic for the AFC teams.
Mm.
The NFC teams is going to open up some debates.
Well, what do you mean? Obviously, Denver is a surprise, right? Obviously, and the Chargers not being on it is a surprise. So, I mean, that is two surprises. Pittsburgh. I like your list. I might differ a little bit on some things, but I like where it's going.
Absolutely. Now, do you want me to leave the graphic up for yours, or do you want to just reset over? Yeah, let's get your AFC team.
Okay, my AFC team is going to be Buffalo.
Buffalo
winning. Yep. AFC North. This is tough for me because my loyalties lie with one team, but I'll go with Baltimore. South. I think Houston's head and shoulders above everybody else. I think everybody else is in transition. So I think they'll easily win that division. The West for me is going to be won by the LA Superchargers.
Nice.
That's where I think LA is going to. I know a lot of people are hating on Justin Herbert, but I have this show's called Premium Takes for a reason, so stay tuned for a premium take. But I believe that LA Chargers are going to be the West winners. Then I have the wild cards. I like Pittsburgh. I'm also going to keep Kansas City in there. And then you brought up a good team in Denver, but I'm going to shock the world here and say the Miami Dolphins. Here's one of my other wild card teams. So it's Pittsburgh, Kansas City, and Miami as my wild card teams.
I love it. So you do have Cincinnati missing the playoffs in 2 years straight. Wow, I love that.
And I love Cincinnati.
I know you do love Cincinnati. If nobody knows, that is Adam's like AFC team. If you had to choose one, it'll be Cincinnati. And I do love how you include the Chargers. One thing I know this might be foolish is I was Chargers high. I was both high all off season, and then Rashad Slater got hurt, and then I realized, man, Denver got a tough defense, and Sean Payton got his quarterback, and he's in his second year. His quarterback slumps happen too, but I love how we all predict the rest, all three different winners, but we all have Kansas City in. But I love how you have the Chargers winning the rest. Absolutely. All right, ready to move on to the NFC?
Yes.
All righty. So here's Mac's NFC teams. Let's get to a comment real fast. We'll break. Oh, what's up, Reality Check? Thank you so much for being here, my brother. Thank you, my man. Let's get it. All righty. Mac, we got the Eagles, of course. I believe that's probably going to be his one, maybe his two. I don't know. But we got Green Bay representing the North. I absolutely love that one. We got Tampa representing the South. We got LA Rams, the West. Wild cards: Washington, Detroit, and Chicago Bears. If I had to really something that really shocked me is him having the Bears, especially in Ben Johnson's first season. I guess that is how much he believes in Ben Johnson, and I would say this. I do think that Chicago has a wild card type of roster. Like, they might surprise a lot of people. Especially when I get to my list, Chicago looks pretty light work compared to who I have in the NFC for my list. But that being said, they do have a defense, they do have an offense, and I love the fact that he was bold and he put it in. It's a premium to put Chicago because this is on record. This is not a receipt. And when we come back to it at the end of the year, he did have Chicago there, and he has not Detroit representing the North. He has Green Bay. I absolutely love that as well. What's your thoughts on his list, Adam? Hopefully you're not muted.
Should I?
He is. Yeah. What's your thoughts on his list, Adam? I think he might be muted again. Maybe he wasn't muted, but he muted himself.
Yeah, I'm having technical difficulties over here with my slow ass computer. But with that being said, it's interesting that he brings in Chicago. I mean, Minnesota's chopped liver, I guess. So that's interesting. Green Bay, a lot of people have high expectations for that team. LA Rams. I like it all. I like it all. Washington being a wild card team, I definitely believe that they're in it, but I think my bottom three will change slightly compared to his.
I love it. I love it. All right, guys, let's move on to mine. And I'm gonna stand on business. I've been writing this team's defense the whole offseason, and yeah, call me biased, call me a homer. I got the Giants in the wild card spot, but let's get it over with. We got the East at the Eagles. We got the Green Bay winning the North. We got Tampa winning the South. We got Los Angeles Rams winning the West. The wild cards, Washington Giants and 49ers. I do think that the 49ers is, yeah, guys, I have the Lions missing the playoffs, believe it or not. I have the Vikings missing the playoffs, believe it or not. Both people will say, like, both teams, especially the Lions, they improved every season. But yeah, but the division is tough this time of year. And I just think that not even this time of year, I just think the division's tough. Like our division is getting close, but I do focusing on Green Bay winning and the Lions missing it. I just think they edge it out by a win or so. Speaking of us making it and the Cowboys not, I think we edge it out by a win or so. It was hard for me to choose teams like the 49ers between teams like Atlanta. But I like secret guys like the Saints to shock it. But I don't think teams like Atlanta or the Saints are there yet. And I just think not everybody, I think everybody's riding on Christian McCaffrey. And I think if Christian McCaffrey doesn't have a fully healthy season, that totally changes the 49ers dynamic. And the 49ers are not going to be a good team. But I do have faith in Christian McCaffrey. I do have faith in Kyle Shanahan. I don't think that Kyle Shanahan is gonna be just this coach that just disappears. I think he's gonna have his team ready and loaded, ready to go. And I think the Rams is the team to beat in the rest. But I have the 49ers sneaking in there exactly where I have the Giants sneaking in there. I do have the Giants as the last team in the playoffs. My wild cards are not in order, but I have the Giants sneaking in there, and that's with whoever's at the helm at quarterback at the time. I really believe on off season I've been hyping up this defense, and I have to put my money where my mouth is. I have to stand on business, and this is me going on record and standing on business. Realistically, a gun to my head, we're winning less than 7 games this season, 6 games. But me standing on business, no gun to my head. I can be, no money's on the line. My life's not on the line. I can be a little bit playful, and I can be like, you know what? I'm going to stand on business. I'm going to have the Giants 9 to 10, 11 wins. Not joking, but 9, 10 wins, sneaking away into the wild card in a really competitive, competitive NFC East than recent years. Go right ahead, Adam.
I think it's an interesting take. Everyone's happy about the Giants, so I can see why you want to put them in there. I don't think they get to that wild card spot without putting Jackson Dart in there, but that's a different story. So to me, I kind of like your list. It's a little different than the norm. So that's about it. You there? Are you frozen?
Yeah, I muted myself. Yeah, now let's get your NFC teams, Adam.
Okay, well, let's start with the East. Obviously, we're going to go with the Eagles. Who knows? We'll just stay with the Eagles first. The North, I'm going to stick with Detroit. They just don't, you don't just come in and, dethrone those guys. They went 15-1 for a reason. Green Bay has a good defense, but they still couldn't overcome the Detroit Lions last year. South, Tampa Bay, I like Tampa Bay with keep a close eye on the Falcons though. The West, I like the Rams. I'm going to stick with. I'm not going to do that. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm going to go with the Seattle Seahawks. So the Seattle Seahawks will win the West. I got my wild card teams will be the LA Rams. I'm going to shock the world here too. The Arizona Cardinals as a wild card team.
Wow, I love that.
Arizona Cardinals as a wild card team, and my last wild card team will be. I think I'm going to stick with the Minnesota Vikings. So you're still going to get 2 NFC East, 2 NFC West or North teams in there, with Minnesota just edging out the Green Bay Packers.
Oh, right. So you have the Seahawks for your rest, and then you have Washington, you have Cardinals, and then you have, who was your last team again?
I said for the wild cards.
Mm-hmm.
I said Minnesota, I said
Minnesota.
the Arizona Cardinals and
The Washington Commanders.
yes, the Washington
Nice.
Commanders. Actually, scratch that. The Washington
Okay.
Commanders, I think, will be good, but I'll put in Green Bay. So there'll be 3 teams from the Northeast
Okay.
edging
Okay.
out because Green Bay plays Commanders. They beat so let's say the Commanders win on Sunday, then Green Bay beats the Commanders. That'll be the deciding game, head-to-head
I
tiebreaker.
like that. I like that. And that's why I think at the NFC, it's just going to be competitive this season. It's not going to be like recent years where the same teams are going to make it. I do believe that we're going to have teams like the Lions. Everybody thinks the Lions are going to make it. They might not make it. We're going to have Washington. Like the NFL has a strange way of slapping you in the face. Look what they did to the 49ers just in recent years. You know what I'm saying? So injuries come into play, and that's why I wanted to include a little bit of the different teams in mind. And that's why you probably wanted to go out there, and no one has the Seahawks representing the best. But Adam does, and we got that on the receipt. So, hey, appreciate that, Adam. I love it. All right, let's go to Macdagiantsfan's AFC Championship, NFC Championship, Super Bowl, and then Super Bowl winner. I love it because it's kind of familiar to mine, but I do have a team a little bit different than him. AFC Buffalo versus Baltimore. He got Baltimore winning. Eagles versus Detroit. He got the Eagles winning. Super Bowl is in Levi's. Santa Clara is won by Baltimore Ravens. Wow, I love that. I agree with the winner. That's my winner. But pretty generic if you ask me. No offense, Mac. It's mistake free almost. Detroit, if Detroit is a strong team and they look to be a strong team, they're probably going to be one of the stronger teams, including with the Eagles. And then he got 2 of the strongest teams out of the AFC. So I like it. He kept it safe, I will say, and I do like his winner. His winner's not safe. I wouldn't say it's safe because it's not safe because he doesn't have Kansas City. That's why it's not safe. But he kept it really safe for his team choosing. I do love that. Alrighty, let's get into mine, and then we're gonna get to Adams. I threw it out left fucking window, guys. Alrighty, Baltimore versus Buffalo. I kept it safe, real safe. AFC Eagles versus Green Bay. I do think that Michael Parsons make a difference to that defense. I do think that the homie, one of my favorite receivers, I can't even remember his name. He got drafted.
Golden.
I can't even Golden, thank you. I remember having conversations with Adam hyping up Golden. I think he's going to be a number 1 for them, and they do have for other people that's way better than our number 2. So that being said, no shots on our number 2. But they have a legit receiving core there. Only if they can catch the ball, and I do think they can pull it together. I think Matt LaFleur is gonna have him like a Kevin season. He's just gonna. Everybody knows how good he is, and I think it's gonna really just show. He's gonna be able to play more free now that he has Michael Parsons. He's just gonna be able to take more shots down the field, knowing that he has a defense that can step on the field and hold it. I do have them playing Baltimore in the Super Bowl. If you look at the logo, let's just talk conspiracy for a bit. Looks like Green Bay colors to me. Looks like Baltimore colors to me. I have Baltimore winning it all, man. I think it's his time. They have the best roster in football. People can argue the Eagles, but I just look top to bottom, man. Baltimore just is loaded. They have to get it done this year. I wouldn't be surprised if Josh Allen gets it done, but Kansas City is going to have a dog of year, but they're going to get taken out by one of these teams. So let me have Baltimore as my Super Bowl winner as well. So we got 2 for Baltimore. Who do you got, Adam?
I'm going to say Baltimore and Buffalo as well, but I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills punching their ticket to the 5th Super Bowl of their history. If you watch Hard Knocks, how can you not fall in love with this team? This team knows who is the engine that could. Man. They understand good shit. I hear y'all. I think that the Buffalo Bills. I'm going to do it. I'm circling the wagons, man.
Do it.
As my guy Chris Berman used to say, nobody circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills. I'm circling those wagons because to me, here's why I put a little down to earth here. All right. If they don't have to see their kryptonite in Kansas City, they're going to the Super Bowl. And if they're telling me that they got Baltimore, who is not their kryptonite, they can beat everybody else. They just, for whatever reason, Mac will know this. I know he knows. If there's teams that certain teams just don't beat, Mac knows that in the 80s, we couldn't do a damn thing to the Eagles. And we can't do a damn thing now, but we couldn't do a damn thing to the Eagles. But we always beat the Redskins or the Commanders, right? And then the Cowboys, it was a 50-50 game, right? It just depended on who what year you met the Cowboys. In the mid '90s, we never beat the Cowboys at all. So it's just one of those things where I think sometimes you have kryptonite and you meet it, but if he's not there and you're not staring at Patrick Mahomes and you're staring at Lamar Jackson, who's just as lethal and just as potent, hey, next thing you know, you're going downfield and winning that game because you understand that, like, look, we got through our one hurdle, and that's their Super Bowl, is beating Kansas City. If Kansas City, like you said, is not in there, then forget about it. Buffalo's going. So, anyways, that's my AFC team.
I love that. And you totally neglected the NFC. So who do you have losing in the Super Bowl? But who do you have in the NFC championship game first?
I have the Eagles versus the Detroit Lions, and I have the Detroit Lions losing. They go to the Super Bowl for one of the first times in their
versus
history.
Buffalo Bills.
Two teams who've never won the Super Bowl. Two teams who are starving to get there. Two teams who have recently turned their franchises around from being the laughing stocks of the league. Most recently, the Detroit Lions, and Buffalo, ever since they inserted Josh Allen, have also had good fortune in the playoffs as well. So the Buffalo and Detroit, I just think, Sean McDermott, Josh Allen are just too much to overcome for that Detroit defense, that Detroit team who just, think about this. Detroit's never been there. They're going to be overjoyed. They might be a little overzealous, going out there because they find, take a breath, and Josh Allen comes and wants to show you why he was the MVP last year and is really yearning for that title. So
I absolutely love it. All right, gang, let's get into our predictions for the awards. All right, we're gonna start with me, then we'll go over to Mac, and then we'll go to Adam. All right, I'm gonna stand on business. I have them in the Super Bowl. I have them in the MVP, and I do think if Lamar Jackson wins another MVP, I mean, like, this guy is on a stratosphere, and if he comes away with a Super Bowl, oh man, he's working his way into greatness. That being said, Captain, thank you so much, Raphael. Let's get it. Absolutely, absolutely. All right, we got MVP Lamar Jackson. We got Offensive Player of the Year. I got Bijan Robinson. Defensive Player of the Year. I got to stand on business again. I got them in the Super Bowl. I got to make it consistent. I got Michael Parsons becoming a home record and just doing it not a revenge tour against Dallas, just doing it as, like, for himself, like, show the world, like, yeah, kind of like what Barkley did to the Giants, obviously behind an amazing O-line. I can see Morka doing it with that defense, with that amazing defense. Alrighty, and I already had Green Bay's defense inside the top 10 before he got there, and they finished the season inside the top 10 in defense. And you had Michael Parsons, Defensive Player of the Year. Then I got off, and then I know Pittsburgh has a good defense too, but he won it last year. That being said, offensive rookie, I just think he went to the right spot. I just think Pete Carroll is going to run this guy. Just keep on running the ball with the Raiders. You want to stop the Raiders, you better stop the run. That's how you're going to stop the Raiders. Other than that, Ashton Gentry is going to run it down your damn throat. Pause. I haven't been an offensive rookie of the year. And then Abdul Carter. Call me a homer, but I talked to Chat AI the other day. Chat GPT already had him in the top 20 defensive players of the league. I had to talk to them. I'm like, no, he didn't even take a snap. And I'm mentioning these other players, and Chat GPT is already predicting this player in the top 20 of the league. I can't believe it. But regardless, he didn't even play a snap yet. Let's go out there and let's win an award first, right? Before you can talk about being a top defense player, let's go get you a Defensive Rookie of the Year award. So I got Abdul Carter there. Let's move over to Max. Max got Joe Burrow as MVP. I love that pick. Edge, super close. Josh stole it from him last year. Hopefully he can come back this year and repeat, have another amazing season. He got Jamar Gibbs, another running back. Love it for the Lions. On offensive, Jared Verse. Love this guy. Absolutely had a breakout season last year. Super young. I think his first season in the league. Jared Verse, absolutely a dog. We got Maureen Hampton. We got showing love to these running backs. Maureen Hampton, coaches are already saying he's one of the strongest hitters he's seen, already breaking pads off of these dummies, off of these weight things that they have to push. I forget what the name is, but goddamn, Maureen Hampton looking good. I have him on my fantasy team. He can break out and have he can easily have a 1,100-1,200 yard rookie campaign. And then we got Abdul Carter. Call him a homer too, but bro, this guy, hopefully he's generational. Everybody's saying he's the next Sticks. Well, let's see it. Let's go out there and prove it, Carter. Let's see it. All right, Adam, your turn. MVP, Adam.
Well, I like Joe Burrow, but I want to differ it. I'm going to differ it up, and this is why we call this show Premium Takes. Justin
it.
Herbert is going to be your MVP. That's right. I said it. I know it's crazy. I know you people don't think I'm, going out. You think I'm going crazy, but I'm going to back him. He's got a new coaching staff. He didn't have a bad year last year, and I think there's a lot of hate going on right now with Ryan Clark and a lot of other media heads. And I just think this kid is going to take that and fuel himself and have a fantastic year. So I'm going to go with Justin Herbert. My offensive player of the year. Oh, that's interesting. You said Jamar Gibbs. Who am I going to pick? The guy was on the tip of my
That's it,
tongue.
Jamar Gibbs. I believe.
I'm
I
going to
forget. I
go
already
with
forget who I
Christian
said. I said
McCaffrey.
Bijan.
I'm going to come back. I'm
Christian
going to stick in the
McCaffrey.
running back. I'm going to stick in the running back group and say Christian McCaffrey because I think he's going to want to have a bounce back year. Defensive player of the year. I'm going to go with somebody who just got paid, and his name is T.J. Watt. TJ Watt will be defensive player of the year. People forget about how good he is, and he obviously was defensive player. He's already won this award, but I think with Micah Parsons, everyone's picking Micah and hoping that he does well. But I'm not forgetting about you, TJ. You almost had the sack record, so I think you're going to have a big year for the Pittsburgh to do things. Offensive rookie of the year, I'm going to go with somebody from Green Bay, the Golden Kid.
Love it.
I think that he'll be a big factor for Green Bay. They haven't had a receiver like this in a long time. A guy who can really fly and really open up an offense. And I think that they expect like Brian Thomas type numbers from him, where you're going to see him, being their number one. He was drafted in the first round for a reason. He's the highest drafted receiver they have on the team. If Christian Watson ever decides to get on the field, he'll definitely help him. He'll help Romeo Dobbs. And I think, with their I think they have not Sam Laporta. They have Musgrave, I think is their tight end. And with that, adding another weapon with Jordan Love, I think, and Josh Jacobs, I think is going to help them. If they're going to be a Super Bowl team, you're going to need that kid to have a breakout game. And as for my defensive rookie of the year, I'm going to go with Travis Hunter. I know everyone wants Abdul Carter, and it's the easy pick, but this guy was also picked to be a great defensive player, a top 10 player, a gold jacket type player. And I think he's, on Jacksonville can be that shutdown, lockdown corner. I don't know how good he'll be as a receiver. I think he'll be like a little bit of a Dion where he'll use them in packages, but I think he's going to make his bread on the defensive side. And I think you're going to see that guy in the headlines every week.
I love it. All right, and I will say this, and I could be wrong, but I believe Jacksonville said that they are going to start him at wide receiver, but they're going to ease him into cornerback. Do you still believe by end season he'll be dominating as a cornerback more than a receiver? Does your pick still stand? Or do you think they'll do that?
My pick still stands.
I love that premium take right there.
Because the thing is this, he is naturally a corner. So if you don't want to play him at corner, and you want to pay him at wide receiver, you're putting him at wide receiver, so it's an advantage you, right? Because you'll have Brian Thomas and now Travis Hunter. But I also believe that he's too good of a corner to not be on that side. And, at the end of the day, they pay corners big money just as much as they pay wide receivers. And I'd rather take him as a corner, and I just believe that that's what's going to happen. He's going to be there. So if I'm wrong, great. I'll be wrong. But, it's for the fun. It's for the show.
And definitely. I had the Giants in the wild card, bro. Like, alrighty.
You never know.
You never know. That being said, about 45 minutes into the show, we'll probably wrap it up at a good hour. We're gonna preview. We'll see how long it goes. We don't want to do a time limit. But we're just gonna preview probably 2 games. We're gonna preview tonight's game, and then we're gonna give you our final thoughts on us versus the Commanders. Let's start with tonight's game, playing in Brazil. Word on the street is the field just is absolutely trash, Adam. What's your thoughts on that? And if that really, obviously it's a practice field. I don't think it's an actual stadium. I know Brazil has some amazing soccer teams that they're not going to let their athletes play on a random stadium. But that being said, strange game last year in Brazil. I will say this. I'm gonna probably go my take first and get your take next. I'm gonna just say this. I'll have the Chargers winning this game. For reasons unknown. I'm just gonna have it Omarion Hampton. I'm gonna just say right now they're gonna establish Omarion Hampton early. They're gonna establish a league early, and they're gonna rely on the one game early. Where the Chiefs, I still have questions with a lot of their team. I get it. They're still a Super Bowl winning organization, but this is a different year. So I'm not gonna really. I'm gonna depend on last year, but what I will say is I do believe that they're not gonna be that 13 win type of team this year. If you look at in recent years, a punt goes, some strange shit happens, and it just swings their way. Like, can strange shit happen for us? You know what I'm saying? Like, they're winning these close games. These games are they're not supposed to be winning by these strange things happening, and sometimes that's football. The ball bounces your way. I do believe that Travis Kelce is going to be more effective immediately off the gate. I know a lot of people is already calling him old, and already did. This is a guy that got 1,000 back-to-back seasons the last 2 seasons. There's tight ends in this league way more younger than him that can't even do that, and they try to utilize him like that, but he's still Travis Kelce for a reason. I want to see Xavier Worthy kind of be that true number one receiver. I still don't know the situation on Rice. I think he's not gonna be playing, so it is gonna be Xavier Worthy. And then that being said, Isaiah Pacheco, they have their defense is still loaded, but in a close division rival game, I'm gonna say the Chargers 24, the Chiefs 21. I'm gonna say the Chargers win it by a field goal. Close game, established. Chargers established the one, but then obviously I am excited to see Adam Courtney get his as well. But go ahead, Adam. That was a broken ass preview, but hopefully you can do a lot more better. Let's get it.
I mean, I agree with you. I think the Chargers are going to win, and I think because what you just mentioned, the field is terrible, and that
Mm-hmm.
favors a team that runs the football more and
Mm-hmm.
has an established run game. And like you said, Omarion Hampton, we're saying is having a great preseason. Well, guess what? They already know how to deal with Rashawn Slater not being in the lineup. He's not. He's like Elijah Vera Tucker for the Jets, right? These guys have been
Facts.
injured, so they have other replacements out there. Now, is he the caliber of Staley? No, he's not. But I think they're going to be able to establish the run. And because I picked my MVP being Justin Herbert, that's why I'm going to. However, I'm not going to be as negative with Kansas City as you seem to be. I think they're still going to be 12, 13 plus win team. I just think that this is their moment right now where the only reason they're not a 12-win team, but they'll be a good team, is because the entire division has gotten better. So if you're playing more divisional games, right, and let's say you split the division now because you're splitting with the Chargers, and maybe you split with the Broncos, and then you either, I don't think you split with the Raiders, so you beat the Raiders twice,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So you're about 4-2 in the division, but those extra two losses are two losses that you may not have had. Usually go 5-1 or 6-0 in the division because you're smoking Denver. The Raiders normally can't get out of their own way, and then the Chargers, are up and down, right? So for me, that's the reason why I'm saying, well, I'm not. Yeah, I agree with you. They may not be a 13-win team, but they'll probably be 11 to 13 because just depending on how the division breaks. So they're still going to be a tough out.
Yeah, I got him.
Still,
I got him at like that 10 right now, but I got other teams like I got Buffalo winning like 14 games based off of their schedule, and I got Ravens winning like 14 games as well. I got the Eagles winning 14 games, so they're just a tier
right,
below
but
that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah,
and in a here's the thing. I don't count teams like the Kansas City Chiefs out because last year they had a bad
that is
season, quote
that
unquote,
is
and
facts.
they end up 15-1, right?
Yeah,
So and then
right.
end up winning in the playoffs and finding ways to win games. They are a win factory.
They have the
So
best active coach in the NFL with the best
right,
active quarterback in the NFL,
I just think
best
right
active
now
tight end in the NFL.
the Chargers. I wish this game was played in LA to give them the home field advantage, but I just think the Chargers need to get the schneid off their back. And what way to do it against Kansas City, who usually in the first week or two you can, snipe out quickly, right? It's usually by like week 3, 4, 5 that you're like, oh shit, here comes the Kansas City train, right? Usually coming out the gate they're a little stumbly. So I think, you know, um, I do believe that Kansas City will be better than we think. They're also going to be the hunted now because there are teams that we were talking about in Denver, in LA, in Buffalo, those 3 teams, not to mention Baltimore, those 4 teams, all 4 of those teams could easily, you know, go far in the playoffs. 2 of them could at least represent in the Super Bowl, right? So, and all of them have great coaches. John Harbaugh. Buffalo has Sean McDermott. You have LA with Jim Harbaugh, right? And then you have, like I said, Denver with Sean Payton. I mean, they have the who's who in the AFC in terms of
Fire
coaching,
conference, man.
right? And not to mention the AFC West has 4 Hall of Fame coaches across
Like, bro,
the
like
board.
the last place in that division will have more wins than probably like Tampa's division, than some divisions. Like last place might have like 10 wins or like 9 wins and not make the playoffs. You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
here's the thing: they
Well,
might have
wait,
8
there's the
wins.
Raiders. There's the Raiders. The Raiders might
They,
have like
they
7 or
might
8 wins.
Well, right, but the Raiders. So let's just say them. Let's say the Raiders are going to be a tough out. So we're going to say, oh, the
Mm-hmm.
Raiders. Maybe they're 7-10, and they're middle of the road. But meanwhile,
Mm-hmm.
they're not middle of the road because they're playing, the Chargers, the Chiefs,
Yeah.
and the Denver Broncos. So when you
Mm-hmm.
look at them, it's going to it's going to make them better because against other teams that are less of that talent caliber, they'll be able to hang. And with Geno Smith, Ashton Genty, they're not going to be an easy out. So I think the entire division with Pete Carroll as their coach, with Jim Harbaugh as the coach, Andy Reid and Sean Payton, you're going to get arguably 4 of the best coaches of our era that we've seen in the last 2 decades. Here, I mean,
Bro.
Pete Carroll's been around for a
Yeah.
long time. Andy Reid's been around for a long. They all have won a Super Bowl, at least one, right? Peyton's got one. Carroll's got one.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Harbaugh has been to one at least and won a
Mm-hmm.
natty.
And
So
one
and
natty,
then
yeah.
and you have the last guy. I'm drawing a blank now. And shit.
You mentioned Reed.
Yes, Reed.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
have all 4 of those guys who have championship success throughout their careers, and it's really interesting to see. And that's why I'm thinking the Chargers have Jim Harbaugh, and he gets teams rallied, and his goal is not to be second place. And I think they come out and make a statement tonight, and doesn't take anything away from Kansas City.
I absolutely love that. So we both picking the Chargers. One thing I wanted to show you too is we talk about SOS because SOS matters, right? A lot of realistic Giants fans will have the Giants winning about 5 games, 6 games this season, just based on SOS, right? So we'll say realistically will be like, okay, let's just take the seasons as a foundation season. Obviously, we're gonna come in this, we're gonna be competitive, but we're not expecting to go all the way, and we're not even expecting to make the playoffs. If we make the playoffs, then that's just cherry on top. So when it comes to SOS, look at the Raiders' schedule. Bro. It's not even like I wouldn't say not scary because it's NFL. Every team is a hard out. But I mean, like it's a schedule that they can win. It's an unproven Patriots. It's unproven Bears. It's a Colts. It's Titans. It's a Jaguars. It's a building rosters. You know what I'm saying? It's the Browns. Like it's building rosters. It's the Texans. Still a top team, but it's not like they're going out there and it's not like they're playing Baltimore. It's not like they're playing Buffalo. It's not like they're playing the Lions that's projected. So they're playing that's preseason. But you get what I'm saying. Other than the division, if Pete Carroll can motivate his, it's different. Like from Bill Belichick making his debut because fucking you're taking a program that was literally a shit show and trying to revive it. This is a program that it's the NFL. Any given year, free agency and the draft can change your roster. And what I think with Pete Carroll, what he has with the Raiders is if he can really establish Geno as Geno like a stud and not Geno like okay it's Geno but a stud Geno kind of like a Sam Donald, and he can lean on Gentry. You don't want to go behind in Raider games because if you go behind in Raider games, they're gonna run the fucking clock on you. Just how the Chargers don't go behind in Chargers game because they're gonna run the clock on you. They're gonna utilize their running backs, and I kind of hope that Atlanta does the same thing in their stud. And I just think that fucking teams with good running backs just easier said than done. But they should teams that's building with running backs and mobile quarterbacks should just look at the Eagles and just try to model their game after them. You know what I'm saying? But that's regardless. That's besides the point. But the Raiders definitely could finish with 10 teams and not make it in just based off of the tough conference. Do you agree on that, Adam?
Well, I don't agree with them being a playoff team. I believe they're going to be like the Giants and win 7 to 8 games
Yes.
and look strong and build their foundation. The reason why I believe that is because Pete Carroll's not is going to always going to have his team prepared, and
Yeah.
sometimes a well prepared team is a better team, even though they may not have the talent on paper, because maybe you overlook them. Maybe you know in their first few games they have what the Bears, they can win that game, they can win the Patriot game, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's another game in there I think they can win. So they could be 3-2 after 5 and kind of give themselves some hope. And like you said, with Geno Smith being their quarterback, you're expecting to win in the next couple of years. And I
Yes.
believe they're going to hang with these AFC West teams, right? Because the thing is that when you look at teams like the Raiders or even the Giants, you
Mm-hmm.
have to look at it like this: the progress may not show up in the scoreboard or in the win column. It's got to show up on the product in the field in terms of just how they play, how they come out, how they're looking at the football team. I know that this may sound weird, but that's exactly how I'm looking at the Raiders. Is I'm not looking at them as this team that's going to go to the playoffs. If they do and they end up being the Denver Broncos of last year, then by all means, yes. I think they're going to be a well-coached football team. I think you're going to get the best out of the Raiders. They're not going to be a laughingstock with Pete Carroll, Tom Brady, and that
Yes.
organization, being there now. They brought in credibility. Pete Carroll knows how to coach. He brought in guys for a reason, especially Geno Smith. He didn't have to pay Geno Smith. He could have paid another guy who went to the Giants, but he decided to go with Geno Smith, which is telling to me. And they ended up drafting a running back who they believe is going to be, if you know Pete Carroll, he relied on Marshawn Lynch back in the day. So to have a sturdy run game with a solid quarterback
Definitely did.
can help you out. And their defense is not going to be great, but they have leaders on that team. And I think this is what this Raider team needs. They need a kick in the ass. And Tom Brady being ownership, as much as people say he's not the owner, when that guy walks in the building, what's that word the kids say? The aura about
The
him.
or
The aura about him is
yeah.
winning. And he is not going to tolerate anything. Even though he's not going to be in the field,
Mm-hmm.
you know that he's going to have a hand in how you're going to do things and how they go and have a presence because he already does that. He's a part of the NFL, whether we like it or not, with commentating and being a part owner of the team. Now, obviously, he can't talk games about the Raiders. I don't believe that that's a conflict of interest. However, he is still a presence, and if he does get any say, which I do believe he has some, being that he's Tom Brady, is that you're going to want to live up to a standard. That's why they got Pete Carroll, because that's a Hall of Fame level standard. And that's what they want in the building. And we'll see if it affects them. And to me, if I'm a Raider fan, I'm not sitting there saying, oh, shit, I want to win the division. I just want to look
Mm-hmm.
competitive. I want to be able to look myself in the eye. I'm like, damn, we could have beaten the Chargers if it wasn't for, Gentry fumbling or, Geno Smith interception or,
These close
whatever guy
games.
makes a mistake. Right. Like what the Cowboys did against the Eagles. Like in the loss to the Eagles, it was a victory in my eyes for the Cowboys because they knew they could stay toe to toe, and that could be a springboard for them going forward against opponents. Right, saying, "Oh shit, well we just went against the best O line of football and held them to 24 points with all these weapons." Teams coming down the pike that don't have the same mobility at quarterback or same weapons, they can hang. Same with the Raiders. They want to leave games saying, damn, we can hang with that team. We can put up a good fight. We may not be there right now, but catch me outside in a few years. We'll
Yeah,
be right
that
there.
that's a great point. Catch me outside. I love that. Same like the Giants, right? You just compared the two teams, right? And one thing that stood out is exactly, absolutely. It's teams are not gonna be looking at the Giants and oh, that's a pushover team. Like the Giants are gonna play you tough. Will we win every game? No, absolutely not. But we're gonna play you tough. Will the Raiders win more? No, absolutely not. They're definitely gonna play you tough. Two final topics. Actually, you remind me of this one. We're gonna talk about this one real fast, and then we'll get into the Giants versus the Commanders game. I think this is a smart move by the Giants, and Mela and Tish, they sell 1%. They sell 10% of the Giants to the Koch family, for $1 billion. And now that obviously it pushes the Giants into the second most valuable franchise in all of sports, right outside the Dallas Cowboys, with a $10 billion valuation. I think more teams should do this. If obviously they're not Tom Brady, so they're not. I believe Tom Brady has a 12th straight, and they're gonna come in and they're not gonna make demands. Usually, if you have that small of a stake and your name's not Tom Brady, you don't really have any say. But I love I respect what Adam's saying. When your name is Tom Brady, you come in at 1,000+ score, and you're like, yeah, no motherfuckers. I can't be. My name is now attached to this organization. So that being said, I do love that. I don't even know why I love it, but it's good to see the Giants being valued as a 5-star organization. We always say that we're a 5-star organization. We always knew we're a 5-star organization. Put the stamp on that validation. Go right ahead, Adam. What's your thoughts on this?
I'm not really worried about the validation of the team. I'm interested to know that there now is a third owner in the room who's going to have, whether or not it's 10%, I'm going to get my 10% say in. So if a guy is not, for example, if this guy is on was here last year, is he the third party that says I want him fired, right? Like I want them fired, I want them moved on. Like, what will his say be going forward? Because once it becomes 10 billion, then when they make more revenue, they're going to either try to buy people out or they're going to try to get more stake and more claim. And if you are a 10% owner, they can't sign off on anything without your approval. So if they do this or they do that, you're a 10% stakeholder, right? So it does affect your shares and you're part of the thing. They may not value your opinion because you're a 10%,
but they still got it. They still got to value it as to listen to it, right?
Right, exactly, because you're an owner.
And now you needed that little. Now you have that wonder. Now you go home after that meeting, like,
Right.
They wouldn't have. I love that. Love that thinking.
Think about it, right? Because I don't know this group. They're not. I don't know what they do. Maybe I should, but
probably work for the mob.
You have the Tishes and the Maras who are literally been with the franchise for as long as I can remember, right? And especially the Maras, at least, definitely. The Tishes a little later on. So now you have a person who has no affiliation with the team, past 1925, right? The Maras have had the team since 1925. This team is just in there. So maybe a new, fresh set of eyes. I'm not saying they're going to fire Brian Daboll at the end of the year, but what I'm saying is that when you have more people in the room to make decisions and right, if Tish is not there and he makes a phone call, now this guy might be in the room and say, you know what, I think we might have a different philosophy. Maybe we should go in a different direction. Here's my thought process as to why. And like you said, if you're an owner of something, legally you can't do it until all parties are present doing something. So they're all going to have to be unanimous. And what it also does is it doesn't allow the family to take over the way you think it takes over, right? A lot of people complain about Chris Mara being in the front office and Tim McConnell being in the front office. Well, guess what? With a 10% stakeholder, somebody else who's not a family member is going to be probably on that team at some point in that administrative role. What does that do? It allows for another voice, again, to be heard when talking. Now, do you have too many cooks in the kitchen? Sometimes you do. But what I'm saying is that we were always afraid that the Giants are going to be overrun by nepotism. Now there will be less nepotism going on because, there'll be nepotism within the three ownership groups. My point is that you'll have another entity to push back on the Maris and say, hey, I don't necessarily agree with what's going on. So I kind of like it. I think it modernizes the Giants, and we all hate John Mara, right? And we all blame Steve Tisch. Well, guess what? Now we have another guy that can be under the another family that can be under the microscope that will, we can point fingers at to help the Giants maybe get rid of players early, a la Daniel Jones, or keep players around because they have a different thought process than most.
Absolutely. And to get on John real fast, I have an Activision type of relationship with him where I can't stand them so much, but yet I tolerate them because they make the best first person shooter. So it's almost like I have no other option. You know what I'm saying? So it's almost like fuck you, Activision, and like fuck you, John Mel. But then at the end of the day, like you see him and you're like, if you trade Berkeley, I can't sleep, and then you somewhat feel sorry for him at the same time. So it's like fuck, put you in a tough space. All right, that being said, let's move on to our final subject at hand. We have the preview. I know they covered it on NFC East Roundup, so I'm gonna take my time to kind of preview it. Not really that much time, and then I'll get Adam's final preview, and then we'll wrap it up. New York Giants at the Commanders, a new venue, Northwest. I believe it used to be called FedEx, but Northwest Stadium now. I think it's going to be a really tough out for both teams in division game. I don't really see any teams blowing out anybody. I'm going to just say it. If we're going to find out the winner of this game immediately off the back, in the first quarter. Obviously things can change down in the fourth, but what I'm gonna be looking for is how is the offensive line of Washington gonna hold up against our D line. Our front seven has been talked about all season, even by non-Giants fans and big time in the media. And we're gonna find out if it's legit. And there's no time for rating. I want to see it off the bat. I want to see the pressure at Jaden Daniels, because if we don't pressure this guy, and even if we do pressure this guy, he has the ability to move around, kind of like Jalen Hurts, like Lamar Jackson. So they're definitely, hopefully, Shane can be smart about it and put a spy on him. There always needs to be someone watching the quarterback at all times, because if there's not, he's absolutely they can absolutely destroy us. Still not fully comfortable with the secondary yet. Yet on paper on paper it looks fine and dandy. We do look like we have a stud quarterback. Well, I don't know who's gonna be running opposite of him, and they have weapons to do what Dallas did to the Eagles and just move the football down the field really fast, especially utilizing the running game. So hopefully the Giants defenses hold up, front seven holds up, and help the secondary either be able to get close to sort the ball down, or get an interception. But we're gonna get beat. They're gonna score points. This is the NFL. This is not like college. They're gonna score points on us. We're unproven yet. We're still a 3-win team in my mind, and tomorrow it changes. So what kind of team do we want to come? We want to be a 0-1 team. We want to be a 1-0 team. I expect it to be a close game. On offense, get Leak the ball, get Tracy the ball. Feed Tracy, feed Leak, utilize our tight ends, establish the one game like for real. That's what I want to see mostly, just establishing a good steady one game, and then feeding our top wide receiver, and then hopefully our other wide receivers can step up and catch the ball. Russell Wilson, I'm not expecting a fucking 300-yard game. I'm expecting mostly like 225, maybe 2 touchdowns. Maybe he goes out there, maybe he throws an interception. Hopefully not. But I'm gonna have to be really, really realistic here, because I do respect Washington. As much as I just all said that, how I do feel that this game is playing out, that we are going to establish the pass rush. We're going to get to Jaden Daniels, but one thing that I'm leaving out that I know Adam's probably really going to touch on is us stopping the run, because that's going to be major, and we struggled on that. So that's going to be really big too. So establishing that front seven to stop the run and to get after Jaden Daniels. If we can do those two things, and we see it early in the first quarter, we're going to be in this game, and it's going to come down to the fourth quarter. And hopefully in the fourth quarter, this defense can really mess up the game, and we'll see what happens there. Maybe force a turnover to win this game out. But final score prediction, I know early on in the offseason, I was all in my feelings and I had us blowing them out. But now I'm realistic. I got to be realistic. I got to give my full realistic thoughts on it. I'm going to say the Giants 21, the Washington Commanders 17 in a close hard fight NFC East battle. We edged them out by a field goal. Go right ahead, Adam.
Well, I kind of have a little bit different strategy here, because
love it.
When I thought the Giants would have to be able to play free and loose, then I read something where a lot of people believe that if the Giants want to make any hay this season, it's going to be against these two NFC teams, who, by the way, our fan base has been disrespecting the two NFC teams all year. Like, oh, Cowboys, Washington, blah, blah, blah. What alarms me is that I thought the game was big for Washington, which I still think it is huge for them, but it's just as huge for the Giants, because I feel like if they don't come out and win this game, a very winnable game, and I picked them to get edged out by a field goal, because these things just happen to the Giants, and I just think this team, Washington has to win because they see Green Bay on the horizon, who, whether they win or lose on Sunday, you don't want to go 0-2. The thing's spiraling out of control, especially with a team like the Giants, and they know that it's a divisional game. So where am I getting at? I'm getting at the fact that there's things that keep me paused about this team that I'm like, And so while I want to believe it and I'm excited for the team, I don't necessarily need to see them win to be like, okay, this is a better team. I need to see them execute things. They were horrible last year. They didn't tackle well. they didn't do a lot of things well that need to be done in order to win football games. So for me, against a team like Washington, I think we're underestimating a little bit. I think we're kind of not, you know, giving them the respect that they deserve for winning 12 games. I think a lot of teams are looking at, well, they lost to the Eagles and we lost to them by one game, blah, blah, blah. We could have beaten them in game two. Game two of Washington was a joke. They were toying with us most of the game. They went down to the last second and won the game, bing, bang, boom, in 3 plays when they needed the game to win. You know, so I don't want to hear like, oh, yeah, we were this. Come out here, establish who you are, get the run because I think the Commanders can be vulnerable in the run game, but if the Giants interior gets blown out, right, and blown back, and Tracy can't make his moves, I think it's gonna be a long day at the office because they don't think Russell Wilson has the same juice in his legs to do what a Jalen Hurts can do, and that's why I think teams like the Commanders and the Cowboys, who kind of don't have quote unquote rushers like a dominant edge rusher, are going to look to play good coverage in the back end with Latimer, with Trey Amos, with their safeties who are decent, and then their linebackers Luvu and Wagner to kind of clean up some of the back end mess. Their defense is going to try to rely on getting five and just trying to have a matchup and being a little disruptive. So if they don't have to be this phenomenal defense to win. I think what's going to happen for me is there's too much pressure. If in the history of the Giants, when people look at the Giants winning, in my history of the 30 years that I've been watching football, every time they pick the Giants to win, we lose. Every time they pick the Giants to do nothing, we win. Right now, they're talking about our defense being top 10. You don't think the Commanders have heard that? You don't think Dan Quinn has heard that? You don't think Dan Quinn is motivating them? So you don't do nothing. Your offense stinks. You're not the 12-5 team. They're the top 10 defense in the league. They haven't done a damn thing. They couldn't stop the run, but they're a top 10 defense. Go out and prove it. And being at home, it does help. And I think that's where it's going to be a little bit, I think it's going to be a tight fought game. And it's going to come down to who makes less mistakes. I just think they're on a different mission. Don't tell me about preseason because the Cowboys looked atrocious in preseason. They came out against the Eagles and looked like a team that, damn, I need to be concerned with because they're going to definitely be fighting probably for a wild card spot at the very least. They'll be a competitive football team. And so for me, the Commanders, all this drama and Terry McLaurin's not going to be this. They have confidence in beating us, and I think in the long run, I want to see how this defense comes out and plays the run because to me, that is going to be key. If they are getting 4 or 5 yards a pop, they don't have to break long runs. They just have to get 4 or 5 yards. Move that. That is going to change the game immensely. What kept the Cowboys in the game last night was being able to stop Barkley and contain him. What they didn't do well was keep a spy on Jalen Hurts. The Giants need to kind of execute what the Cowboys did: get in the backfield, stifle this run game. Because if they establish and they start to do what the Cowboys did to the Eagles last night, get the 5 yards to pop, do this, do that. They have running backs that are capable of catching the ball out of the backfield and wearing you down. And I think that's what they're going to do a lot of with this pass rush. They're going to do screen passes. They're going to do one area that no one's talking about besides the run defense is the middle of the field. No one's talking about the middle of the field. The Giants are susceptible to good tight end play, and they have Zach Ertz. So there's a lot of factors that are going to come in here. And the Giants on defense, if they want me to believe them, they have to be the tone setters. They got to go out there and they've got to stop this run game, make this game close, and like you said, get friggin' turnovers. You can't have 5 turnovers in a year and expect to win football games against teams that have expectations. Washington now has expectations. They're looking at the Giants, whether we like it or not, as a 3-14 football team. They haven't proven a thing. And their fan base is going to be like, how the fuck did you lose to the Giants, right? And Russell Wilson and that team. I think the quarterback play for the Giants is going to be okay. I think it's going to be average. I really do. But if you look at their team last year, they had a lot of the same guys last year that they have this year. And we're not talking about household names. I like Tracy, but Neighbors is the only real threat on the Giants. I was talking about this the other day to Mac. Like, if I'm the Commanders and I'm looking at this strategically, I'm doing everything in my power to take Neighbors out of the game. I still have an unproven Theo Johnson. I still have I still have Darius Slayton, who I don't think is going to be that much exponentially better than he's already been. And if Trey Amos can't handle that guy and that assignment, then we got real problems. And I'm not saying Trey Amos needs to be a world beater, but keep things in front of him, not get beat deep too much, and be assignment sound. Darius Slayton is not like the who's who of wide receivers. So to me, if I'm thinking strategically and as Dan Quinn, and I'm going in that defensive meeting, I'm saying, look, this is how we're going to attack them. We're going to try to take the neighbors out of the game, make everybody else beat them, and we're going to try to attack Russ up the middle because that's where his weaknesses are, right? And on offense, we're gonna attack their edges, right, to see if they crash down and how they attack. If they're coming down the line, we're going to bounce it outside. If they come up, we're going to run right underneath. However, there's also this other strategy where if I'm the Giants and I'm a fantasy owner right now, I'm picking up Zach Ertz as my fantasy tight end because I just believe in the preseason I saw tight ends catch a lot of passes against the Giants, and it's something that's concerning me right now that they haven't fixed since last year. And my one last comment to land this plane, Shane Bowen. I'm going to find out what kind of defensive coordinator Shane Bowen is because I don't know how good he is. He wasn't that good in Tennessee and he had talent. Okay. I don't know how he's going to fare this year, right? I think he has more talent, but does that make you a better defense to have more talent? And this makes you talented. But if you don't have, if your defense, let's say, for example, Brian Burns, if he doesn't fit the profile of what you're looking for in a defensive end, it doesn't matter how much talent he has, right? Because he doesn't fit your scheme. The reason Wink Martindale was great and you had Tay Banks doing good shit and all this stuff is because, and Bobby Okereke, I do believe truly that the defensive scheme was different and it helped fit their strength. And Bowen is a guy who likes to get pressure with four guys as opposed to, blitzing. And we'll find out if that works because if they're running the football, getting 5 yards of play, you're going to have to do what the Cowboys did again last night. I referred to them. They turned up the heat a little bit. And we'll find out how good they really are. But I do believe in the end, Washington was going to edge out the Giants on some miraculous fucking shit where, they're going to be second and 3rd and 18 and Jaden Daniels is going to run for 20 yards and dink and dunk it way down and the game's going to come down. They're going to kneel it at like the 20-yard line and kick a field goal and have a walk-off win.
I love that. So we both kind of have it. Similar close games. I have the Giants edging it out by 3. You have Washington edging out by 3. One thing that you did say that was what I can relate to, and not relate to, but what I want to touch on is when you was all like, if you look at, let me just start by saying this. If you look at yesterday's game, there's not one expert that picked Dallas, right? There's not one single expert that picked Dallas. Everybody picked Philadelphia, right? Dallas definitely. Everybody picked Philadelphia. Obviously, we can say if Jalen Carter would have changed the game a bit, absolutely he would have. You know what I'm saying? So maybe that's why. And everybody picked the Eagles, knowing that that Carter is going to be playing, right? Long story short, though, Dallas came out, and regardless of Carter not playing or not, Dallas they just lost the player. The whole attention was on that player in the offseason. They came out and they almost was like, "What about us? We still got a team." Dak Prescott came out and he was throwing up football, really nice spirals, looking at him, absolutely beautiful, like in midseason form, right? I kind of feel like with the Giants now, we're looking at this preview, right? For the first time in a long time, you actually have some experts picking the Giants over Washington, not kind of looking at us like the underdogs, and even looking at us like the underdogs, but looking at us like kind of like the sleeper pick and the sleeper wildcard pick. And you're absolutely right. When the Giants are in these kind of scenarios, what's up, Nomad? It's a little bit early show today. We're about to wrap up, but you have a whole amazing show to watch. But thank you so much for joining us today. But usually we don't win, right? When the media picks us, we don't win. It's not until like we're bitten off, until we go on this amazing streak and then we go into the playoffs and we do the unthinkable, right? It's not until the Giants are no thoughts in people's minds where we really come out there and really prove it up. Everything you say, I absolutely agree on, and I could absolutely see that the flow of the game going that way. One thing that I do hope that where I can come in on and I can say is, I just hope that we also seen all these experts and then some people that went to Giants camp and that been around the team this season, and even Paul Dino himself can say that the life of this team is just different, right? And even you said like the black cloud has lifted. I just truly believe that these players, whether it be household names or not, I just think that we're gonna go out there in week 1, and when the world's all like, you can't, the players still know that they only won 3 games last year, and I just kind of feel like we're gonna just be like the Cowboys. We're gonna be like, we're just gonna fight for extra yards. Well, we're not supposed to fight for extra yards. We're just gonna fight for extra yards, whether it be on defense, whether it be on offense. So yes, Jaden Daniels and the boys, like the Eagles, they just went to the NFC Championship game. They're expected to go out there and they expected to do what they did. Usually you don't take a drop off badly when you bring your whole fucking team back and then you add a few pieces. So Washington has a lot on their fucking plate, and I just think that they haven't experienced. Jaden Daniels hasn't experienced it. He has experienced a lot. But I just truly believe that we're a different team this year. And like you said early on, you take, even if we lose, I honestly, I want to see that. Right? I want to see them fight. I want to see them, that in preseason, I'm not gonna bring up any play in preseason, but in preseason when they scored a touchdown and Russell Wilson is like fucking 10 yards on the field, and then Jackson Doyle is like fucking 15 yards on the field, it's almost like, dude, I love that shit. I love seeing that shit, and I want to see them have fun. So even if they're down by 7, down by 10, last year's team would have fucking gave up. The attitude would have been so totally different. I honestly think that this team is not going to fold like last year's team. We're going to be fighting for extra shit. Tracy's gonna go out there and he's going to have a heck of a game. And I hopefully that our offense can move the ball as much as I respect. Obviously, Washington's offense is going to move the ball on us. But I hopefully in key moments when it really comes down to it, we're going to have these shots for, Malik Neighbors might not be getting catches early if you don't feed him the ball. The Washington might take him out of the game completely, but hopefully in crucial moments, maybe down the stretch, we can have that one catch for 30 to 40 yards to Malik Neighbors to get us back in the game if we're losing, and to go out there and march down the field and fucking get the game-winning field goal. So I love this conversation. It wouldn't be a show if we both agreed, and I think we both said great takes on the conversation. Any final words before we end the show, Adam?
Just that this is my final word on the game. Yes. The mistakes. The Cowboys had a chance to win, and two or three critical plays came up, and the plays after were magnified because of the fumble in the red zone with Miles Sanders. Right? They kick a field goal there, maybe score a touchdown. The game is different at the end, right? And CeeDee Lamb is not needed. The CeeDee Lamb catch becomes more important because of the fumble. What I'm saying is,
the drop becomes more highlighted. Exactly.
The Giants cannot have penalties. I know James Hudson is starting. You can't have penalties on Von Miller. Those are drive killers. You don't want that. You don't want to commit too many turnovers because they have an explosive offense. The way this Commander team is going to beat you is they're going to use their offense as their strength to kind of control the game. And then they're going to use their defense to just bend but don't break. Do just enough to keep us in the game. Force a punt here, force a punt there. We get more possessions than they do. We'll score more points. That's how they're going to do it. Don't give this team extra possessions. Don't put yourself in a precarious position where you're not going to be able to fight out of it. If you want to win, this is a game that you can have. And it's one game that you need. So that's my final thoughts. Everybody enjoy your Sunday. Football, I know I will.
Absolutely. Everybody enjoy your Sunday, and we'll see you guys next week. You'll probably see them first on the NFC East roundup. They're going to be rounding up both crazy-ass division games, because I know this one's probably going to be a banger, and then last night's was a banger as well. Enjoy your Friday night football, NFL, just trying to make money. And then that being said, they are a business. That being said, y'all have a good one. Let's again.